Awesome. Thank you. So welcome everyone. Today we're going to be going over how to create and use a LinkedIn account. Please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat as well. So just a reminder, the session will be recorded and we'll be posting the video on our YouTube channel for those who couldn't make it or arrive a little later. We also have past workshops up on the channel. So if you missed last month's workshop on what to do with your W-2 and free tax prep resources in Philly, you can go back and watch that one as well. So just for some introductions, my name is Kara, my pronouns are she, her, and I am a social work intern with Fab Youth Philly, and I'll hand it over to our other facilitator for tonight.
Hi, I'm Kiera. I go by she, her pronouns. I work at Fab Youth Philly as a youth advisor, board member, and a little library steward.
Great, thank you. Okay, so Skills for Fab Life workshops are a series of workshops designed for young people to learn life skills for high school and beyond. So they've been running for about 2 years now and cover topics such as how to get a driver's license or how to rent your first apartment. And our goal for this presentation is to introduce you to LinkedIn and networking. We're going to start by talking about what LinkedIn is and why you use it, and then walk through both how to create your own profile and then how to use that as well. By the end, we would like you to be able to do these 3 things. So I'm going to ask Kiera, how do you define LinkedIn?
LinkedIn is a business employment social media that allows a person to network with people based on similar occupations, interests, or experience.
Mm-hmm. And then what is one strategy that you use to network using LinkedIn?
One strategy I use to network with LinkedIn is being able to connect with current workers of Fab Youth Philly and companies or other companies that share your interests.
Great. And what is one tip you have for creating an effective LinkedIn profile?
A tip you can use for creating an effective LinkedIn profile is to put some interest, skills, and or experience to gain potential connections.
Thank you. So what is networking and why do we use it? So the Oxford Dictionary defines networking as the process of interacting with others to exchange information and develop professional contacts. So this information can be where you work, other previous job experience that you've had, career goals or interests, as well as contact information such as your LinkedIn profile so that you can stay in touch. Networking can be used to find future job opportunities, and we'll give some more specific examples of how this can happen a little later when we talk about how you use your LinkedIn profile. So who do you network with? Your network consists of people that you know through work, volunteer opportunities, other personal connections, as well as the people that they know. So Kiera, can you walk us through a little bit of your networking circle? Who is in the circle, and then how did you come up with them?
Okay, so who's in the circle is me, and my connections are in the second to outer circle after me, which is Rebecca, Erin, and Meredith.
Mhm.
A connection that I made through Rebecca is Jennifer. She would be an extended part of the networking circle.
Mhm. And then could you tell us a little bit about who each person is?
Rebecca is my employer. She's she's my employer and a great friend. Erin is my current high school counselor, and Meredith is a friend of the school district and myself as well.
Perfect. And then could you talk a little bit about who Jennifer is and how you were able to network with her?
Jennifer is a friend of Rebecca's. I was able to network with her through LinkedIn. I connected with her through a post that Rebecca shared, and I was able to reach out and say, "Hello, my name is Kiera. I work with Rebecca. I would like to do the pop-up play that you have in December." That same day, we were able to talk and schedule stuff.
Thank you. All right, so what is LinkedIn? We are going to, or I'm going to play a clip from this video to kind of introduce it, and then we'll go through 7 steps to creating your own account.
Hi everyone, Heather here from ShareSpark, and today we're going to be talking about LinkedIn for students. This is mostly going to be focusing on high school students, but if you're in college and you haven't made a LinkedIn profile yet, or if you made one and you haven't done anything with it, a lot of the info will be applicable to you as well. So here we go. First of all, what is LinkedIn? If you're a teenager watching this, it's probably the most uncool social media platform. You're probably not on it, but I can guarantee you that LinkedIn will probably be the most influential social media platform for your career. It's really picked up steam, and there's a ton of recruiters who report that they actually use it in the hiring process. I know so many people my age who have found their jobs through LinkedIn. If people Google you, and they will, your LinkedIn profile will probably show up on the first page of the Google results. Actually, for me, if you type in my name, it's the first thing that pops up. So that's great, because that's the first impression that I want anyone who's searching for me online to see. In high school student lingo, it's your brag sheet. Okay, so your college counselor or your advisor probably tells you to put together a brag sheet during the college application process. And you're supposed to give your brag sheet to anyone that you want to ask for a letter of recommendation as part of your application package. LinkedIn is basically your public brag sheet. So anyone, anywhere can see your brag sheet or your LinkedIn profile. Anyway.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Heather here from
So-
ShareSpark. And
All right, so now we'll move a little bit into talking about how you create your own account. So this is the homepage for LinkedIn. You can click either button that says join now. And so this is the first piece of information that we'll ask you about, which is your email. So Kiera, how did you choose which email to put down?
I chose how I wanted to be identified. We want to create a work email. You want to use your name and a location that you're in, like Philadelphia or your city.
And is your professional email different from your personal email?
Yes, my professional and work email are different, or my personal email and my professional email is different.
And then how do you choose when to use your personal email versus your professional email?
When in a professional setting, you want to use the email that can best identify you as a worker or something to represent you well, such as your name and or city that you live in. A work email should only be used to gain work opportunities.
Thank you. Next, they'll ask some demographic information. So name, location. If you put down that you're a student, they're going to ask what school that you go to. If you're under 16, they're going to ask your age. And then the last two questions they ask are you looking for a job? And then what kind of job and where? So Kiera, is there anything that surprised you about the information that was asked?
No, the demographic information that's asked isn't something to be surprised about. It is required for you to complete.
And where else would you be asked this information?
You can be asked this information at a job interview or on a resume, or even when you strike up a conversation with someone.
And then how would you answer the last two questions?
I answered by using a profile accessory called Open to Work, and also where I would be interested in working.
Great. Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit more about that profile accessory on the next slide as well.
Hi, sorry, Kara, before you go on, can I just ask the group, maybe by a show of hands for people who are on the chat with us, how many of you by a show of hands have a personal email address and also a professional email address? So have at least more than one email address by a show of hands. Great, cool, hand, beautiful. Yep, raise your hand, nice, you could do it that way. Thank you, great, thank you. Love to see your faces, that's awesome. Okay, super. And I just want to encourage folks as Kara and Kiera are going through this, please feel free to share your own experiences and ask questions. This will be really beneficial and more interesting if you ask questions that you have. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. So then they're going to ask to upload a photo of yourself. So you can click the camera icon that's circled in red here. As it says on the website, it doesn't need to be a professional photo, but still make sure it's appropriate. So they give some examples, make sure your face is in it, make sure you're wearing appropriate clothing, and you can identify yourself. You're not standing too far away from the camera. So something that Kiera was talking about was the profile accessory. So you're able to, when you upload a photo, put a little banner on the bottom of your picture that says open to work. And so that will signal to employers that you're looking for a job before they even click on your profile. So then it will ask you to fill out some prior work experience, and you can always update your profile using the add profile selection button and then choosing add position. So Kiara, what was your first thought when you saw this section?
My first thought was to complete with the experience I was currently working on and the ones that I already had. I would recommend that teams add skills, interests, and or volunteer work that they have done prior to an experience that they don't have.
Definitely. And so when you add your prior work experience, this box will pop up. So it's required that you include your job title, where you worked, that sort of thing. And then the description box is really where you talk about what you did in the position and what your role was. So when you click that add profile selection button, you can also choose to add skills. So Kiara, what types of skills have you developed since you started working?
Since I've started working, I've developed professional responsibility, communication, and stronger team leadership skills.
And then what are some kinds of skills that a babysitter would have or someone who volunteers to clean up the neighborhood?
Skills that a babysitter could have is active listening and communication. Someone who volunteers can develop possible team leadership and collaboration skills.
Great. And then is it ever okay to list a skill that you don't have?
No.
No, that's correct. And so LinkedIn will help give suggestions based on your profile, and you can search for your own skills as well. So things like customer service, if you work in a customer service position, public speaking, social media. You can even put down like Excel or Microsoft Office products for those sorts of things. LinkedIn actually has tests that you can take to show your competency. So if you pass those tests, then you'll get a little badge where LinkedIn verifies that skill for you. Okay, so the next thing it will ask is for you to come up with a headline. So I'll ask Kiara and I'll ask other participants in the room as well. Where do you usually see headlines?
You often see headlines on news stations, social media platforms like Instagram, accounts like the Shade Room.
I usually see headlines on like the top of research papers and the top of news articles.
Yeah, great, thank you. Anywhere else we see headlines? Awesome. So I'm going to read these two headlines, and then I would like for you to all tell me which is a more interesting headline. So the first headline we have is Keke Palmer announces the birth of her first child. And then the second is Keke Palmer shares adorable family photos with Darius Jackson and baby Leo in matching pajamas. So for anyone, any participant, which is the more interesting headline and why?
The second one.
The second one, why is that?
It goes in a little bit more detail about what it's about.
It's detailed, that's a good one. Anything else? It uses catchy words, so it says adorable, describes a little bit of what's going on. Yeah. So when LinkedIn asks for a headline, you go back to that add section, click the about, and then here is the box where you will add this. So this is just a little description of you and your prior work experience, kind of sums up you as a worker. So Kiara, if you'd be able to read the example that you have of your headline on your LinkedIn profile.
Works well independently and is a self-starter, patient, adaptable, and comfortable with collaboration. Kiara is success-driven when working and always open to exceeding expectations and goals.
Great, thank you. So it has some of those things that we talked about with the headlines that we just read. It's very detailed, it has descriptive words, and it really lets us know a little bit more of what's going on. Okay, so thinking back to your networks, try to identify someone who's able to look over your profile before you start to use it. This is the last step. So this can be a teacher, guidance counselor, caregiver, any other adult that you trust, so they can check that everything makes sense, that it's readable, that it's very clear, and you're able to start using it. Also suggest maybe having a Google Doc, since you have this information now of what it's going to ask you. Maybe come up with that before you start your profile, so that it's just a little bit easier to move through all the steps. So now we're going to start talking about how you can use your profile effectively. So now that you've set up your account, what do you do with it? The first thing you can do is link with others. So Kiera, who did you decide to link with, and how did you go about linking with them?
How I decided to link with people is by similar occupation, experience, or skills. A professional but cheerful approach is how you should go about linking with someone. You can also connect with your staff, school, or fellow students.
Mhm. And so this little connect button here is where you would do that on someone's profile. And then LinkedIn also gives the option to add a note. So as Kiara was saying, being very cheerful, professional, you can add a little note reminding the person where you know each other from, or that you're excited to connect, or anything like that. Next is to update and check your profile often. So Kiara, how often do you check your profile, and what does this look like?
I often check when I have new feed notifications or a possible connection, or even a possible employer. I usually check my feed when I see updates of possible opportunities, and it is also an easy way to keep up with the current events of Philly.
Mhm. So you're also able to follow groups or organizations. So if you're interested in technology, you can follow Microsoft or Google. If you're interested in journalism or just following the news, like Kiara said, you can follow the Daily Pennsylvanian and get updates from them. As you continue to add your experience, school experience and skills, LinkedIn will make more specific suggestions for your interests. So Kiara, what groups or organizations do you follow, and how do you use these?
I follow Fab Youth Philly, Philadelphia Zoo, and the Philadelphia Youth Network. I chose Fab Youth Philly because it's the organization I work under. The Philadelphia Zoo sometimes has internships and opportunities that the youth community could use. So I like to keep up to date with that. And a lot of teams work under Philadelphia Youth Network. So it is also a great way to keep in connection with Work Friday.
Great. All right. So Kiara, how have you been able to get opportunities through LinkedIn?
I was able to get opportunities, or am able to get opportunities through LinkedIn by using the in-app features such as the search engine, which allows you to look through appealing opportunities and events. There are also profile features that allow you to talk more about you as a worker and opportunist.
And how do you think that LinkedIn has helped you with your networking?
I think LinkedIn has helped me. It has made it easier to communicate in a professional environment, and it doesn't require in-person presence.
And then lastly, do you have any other tips for teens who want to create a LinkedIn profile or start using it more often?
When trying to garner connections and potential opportunities, it's important to use a professional approach to everything that you do, and always use experience, skills, interests that you already have. You want to appeal to potential employers that would benefit you.
Mhm. Great, thank you so much. So now we're going to open it to any questions. So please feel free to unmute yourself or type in the chat anything you would like to know.
Like what would you say would be like a professional way to talk to an employer on LinkedIn?
To like a current employer or a potential employer?
Both.
you want to approach friendly. You want to approach friendly and professional. You could start off by saying like, "Hey, how are you? My name is Kiera. I would like to know more about this position. Is there a way that we can talk or communicate on the basis of that?"
Yeah, definitely starting off with that introduction. And also, as Kiera had mentioned, stating that you're open to opportunities and maybe bringing in opportunities that you've had previously. That would kind of lend itself, like how we were talking about certain jobs give you certain skills, talking about the skills that you've developed that would lend themselves to other job opportunities that you're looking for. Good question. Thank you.
It can also be helpful, Divine, to do a little bit of what Kiera did. So when she reached out to Jennifer, for example, she said, I think she said, "Hi, I'm a friend of Rebecca's, or I work with Rebecca at Fab Youth Philly. I know you're a friend of Rebecca's too. Or I see that you and Rebecca have worked together at a company." And so being able to say and sort of share the connection that you have with someone. So Divine, you could reach out to someone in my, that I'm linked in with and say, "Hi, I work with Rebecca at Fab Youth Philly, and I am interested in learning more about your organization. I've looked at the website, and here are 2 questions I had. Is there, is this a good way to chat, or is there an email address where I can send you more questions?" So I think naming that you have something in common with someone can be very helpful also when done professionally.
Thank you. Anything else? Any other questions that we have?
Is it ever okay
It
not
would
to
be,
someone?
Hmm?
Is it ever okay not to connect with someone or not accept someone's LinkedIn connection?
I would say no, but you definitely want to be cautious of who you're connecting with. If it's someone you don't know, but someone you are interested in knowing, I would say you could go for it. I would say check out their LinkedIn account and try to learn a little bit about them before you go ahead and connect with that person.
Yeah, I think you want to be a little bit selective about who you're connecting with. So make sure you either have had a really good working relationship or you're reaching out either to talk about a job opportunity or talk about a field that someone's working in. But definitely either doing some research or knowing the person before you connect would be a good idea.
for someone who is just starting to use LinkedIn and starting to learn what networking is, what do you think would be a good first approach and first thing to do when starting networking? Because I know it can be a lot at first. So what would be your tips on that?
The first tip I would have is connect with the people you work with or have worked with. Currently we both work at Fab Youth Philly, so I would say connect with me, Tara, Rebecca, and Divine, as well as Kevin and anyone else who works at Fab Youth Philly, and see where your connections grow from there.
Definitely. And you can ask around too if you're looking for a specific connection in like a specific field or profession to see if your immediate connections, like thinking back to that networking circle, if there's anyone that you're talking to right now or connected with now, if they know anybody who you'd be interested in talking to. Good question.
Oh, look, someone just did a little networking with you all in the chat right now. So, Siva, do you want to just say a little bit about what you're doing? And so it looks like Siva is looking for internships starting in the summer and showed you exactly a professional way to check out like how you might contact someone. Do you want to say anything more about that, Siva, or do any of you want to ask Siva a question about that?
Hi, I'm actually traveling, so apologies for not switching on my camera.
That's okay.
This was some suggestions on like, whether does that message appear to be like professional way of asking, or do I need to add on something else? Yep. Thank you.
Thanks. It's a great suggestion.
Yeah. Thank you. I would say maybe be a little specific on what internships or opportunities you're looking for. I think it's good that you included the degree that you're pursuing in the specific area where you studied. So as we were talking about like the detail in like your background, and I think like maybe narrowing a focus as to what you're looking for would be helpful for people to connect with you or connect you with someone else.
In addition to LinkedIn being helpful for work, for those of you applying to college, LinkedIn can be really helpful because you can follow the college or university that you want to apply, because they might post about scholarships or internships. A lot of those colleges and universities often have networking events in person, so you can go and meet somebody. And you might notice that your LinkedIn was someone that you know who went to the college or university where you want to attend, and you can send them a note that says, "Hi, I've been thinking about attending Howard University, or I've really always wanted to go to MIT. I saw you were a student there. Would you be willing to have a 15-minute informational interview with me?" So it could also be really helpful as you're thinking about applying to college and learning more about, from a student's experience, what it was like.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you, everyone. Any last questions? Anything else that you'd want us to talk about or explain a little bit more? Okay, great. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Remember to follow us on social media so that you can stay updated, connect with us, and see the workshops that are coming up for this next month as well.
And do you just want to preview what's coming up next?
Sure, yeah. So we have on the 18th of April, we have a Meet the Medical Professionals panel. So we'll have a couple people who work in different medical fields talk about what they do, and have that as an opportunity for any of you to ask questions if you're interested in the medical field. And then at the end of April, I believe it's the 25th, we're going to have a prom event. So we'll have dresses, suits, any accessories where you can come and get clothing items and that sort of thing for prom.
Awesome. Thanks. Good job. Thanks for
Yeah.
joining, everybody.
Have a great rest of your evening.